So I will try to summarize as much as possible. So in concordance with the thematic approach of the Congress, so from the science to practice. So we, as you know, it's one of the theme of our Congress, and Mr. Sabri has clarified the clouds in our minds, and therefore, I would like to I would like to emphasize what has changed and what has not changed in last 122 years and what needs to be changed. I will be talking about all of these issues during my time here on the stage. And dear colleagues, and the last slide of Mr. Ayub was very much significant, especially on the biomarkers and the psychiatry, and it's so much unique that regardless of the biomarker you may have, regardless of the neuroimaging that you may perform, you will be finding individual perspective and aspects that is unique to the person in itself, himself or herself. So so you need to create 8 million different AI because the AI, everybody is unique because the pathologies are so much diverse, so much complicated, and that's why that we still have a lot to do as the people, as the living people. Therefore, it is us to find, especially during the clinical trials and during the approaches, during the measurements and the scaling. So during the clinical perceptions, is that difficult? No, of course it is not. If you comprehend with the psychopathology, then it is easy. And so the mother who brought me 6 years of son to me 2 days ago, so it was not the severe complaints for coming from the teacher, or he is about the kickoff from the school, but it was not that. So it was not triggered by the problems at home. So, however, she experiences an incident. That's why she rushes to psychiatrist after one single incident, and so there was a paper between his table and also with the library. And however, I have just removed the paper. It's a small piece of paper. And so he is a 6 years old grade 1 student, and there is something written there, and the paper says, and everything will be corrected when I'm grown up. And so the and everything will change. I will not be making my teacher sorry or my family agonized. So I will be reading this paper when I grow up, and I will be happy. And this is the biomarker. And in 1990 or 1994 or 95, I was an assistant in Chapa. So we were rushing in our polyclinics, and around 5 or 6 p.m. So I was about to lock my office door, and there was a mother, and so waiting with a 7 or 8 years of son. So we are here to be examined. So I have asked, do you have any appointment? No, we have come from another city. Can you please see us as well? And I said, okay. So I couldn't reject them as they were coming from out of the city. And I told you this story from time to time, and however, it was one of the milestone of it's a milestone of the reason why I have started to deal with the HDH. And so of course, so the conditions, experience. So we didn't know about whether it is good to speak or not together with the parent or not. So they have said that we came from Ankara, and say And so psychiatry, child psychiatry hospital is on the Millet Street, is one of the most crowded street of the Istanbul. If you go out from this street, and and if he's just slipped around my arms, so if he was crashed or crashed by a truck, so I wouldn't be I wouldn't be sorry, she said. So it was that desperate. She was that desperate actually at that moment. And so in my office, so my office is on the 2024, and so I have listened mothers. So I would like to throw myself or throw her son from this 24 floor. So, or we are about to get divorced because of this child. So there's no biomarkers from the. So you can claim that this test resulted that or that test resulted that way. So if the people have their complaints, we have to solve these complaints. There are studies and there are of course, we have an incident, we have a case on the table, and so we have to, as a clinicians, we have to derive our solutions based on the facts of the case, and we have to stop the turmoil going on the home and the conflicts going on the home. We have to hear the voice of the mother saying that I felt myself as a mother for the first time. So we have to hear the children who say that it is the child said yes for the first time for something, and it is the first time he thanked to me. So we have to hear the voices of the child. So actually, so we have we we have to hear the children, the mother who says that we could get the difference between the first and second child in our second child as well. So with the correct questions that you are asking, by extending this interview with only for 5 years, so we are the solution makers. That's why the people are referring to us, because there is no other point that they can recall, they can refer to, and that's why that they are asking us to have a solution from us. What have changed and what has not changed? Of course, the study starts in 1902 actually. And when we look at, there is a history behind of the ADHD, and especially on the Steele's articles. It is in 1980, in 1902 actually. It is the children that who cannot get the moral ethics and moral rules. And so especially before for the neurotransmitters, neurofrontal cortex and all others. So it is where they are, all these concepts were completely unknown. So only and the article of a pediatrist, and so it is the same with the. So nothing has changed in 122 years. The people are the same, and in this time, first of all, so we have to let the scientist understand the problem in itself. So it was possible only in 122 years back. So was possible. It's only possible today. And as Mr. So when the methylphenidate arrived to Turkey, when we prescribed it, they were looking at very bizarre. So, and they were saying that it's a red prescription. Will they kill our children? And especially Mr. Kayhan, he was a case like it was and he was putting the prescription to there. And so I was, and he say, and he was questioning me whether I'm the one using that medicines myself, and then he told me to keep it yourself, and then you prescribe it yourselves. And Now we are discussing about the medicine alternatives, and we are also experiencing the permeability and non-permeability of the of the people to medicines, and resistance of the people to the medicine. And of course, it's a very complex issue, and therefore, so from the conventional point of view, so we cannot we are not dealing with the actually the diagnostic part of the ADHD iceberg, because it's an iceberg as well, because these challenges, what the parents are suffering from, are the real diagnostic value part, because for example, when the visible part of this iceberg is treated with when we apply methylphenidate, but the below the iceberg is what really the problem is, and it's what the family suffer from. And because the pure ADHD is around only if it's 31% or 40% at maximum, there are many different comorbidities. and however, so how will you manage this medical part and the treatment part and therapeutic part of this remaining 80% of this iceberg? How will you explain this part to the parents? And especially for the last 5 or 10 years, so especially and the high school entry and high school entry exam, or university access exam, because of the so there are some cases that were referred as with the claim of the ADHD. So, however, I see that 90% are true. Of course, there can be the 10% was only false positive, but the 90% are, yes, they are ADHD. And however, the most problematic part is, and the most challenging part that the parents cannot manage, is the behavioral part. And of course, some and impulsivity, and so of course, however, the parents do not care whether the child is successful at the academic field on the school lessons courses, and however, so we just want them to be washed after going to the toilet, or just to flush the toilet after, so, or just be on time at the dining table, or just not leaving out the table only after he finished the food. So we just let alone the home doing homework. And so, and we are seeing a table where it directly impedes the social life of the family, and therefore both at home, at school, and the problematic areas, it's the behavioral issues most of the time. And on the DSM, so, and the impulsivity, it's a soft, he spoke, for example, just intrusion without asking for a voice, or getting involved in fighting, or cruelty level. So it's an intentional harm, doing intentional harm to the others or self. And therefore, apart within all these diagnostic issues, and so all in clinic perspective, especially most recently, so this is the thing that we are trying to differentiate. We have a conventional ADHD, and where there is no impulsivity at all, only if there is an alert deficiency is there. So we see that there's a group where the behavioral issues results from the deficit of alert deficiency, and there is also another table where the really alert deficiency is not the case at all. And Mr. Ayub was asking, and there will be coming, and the slow cognitive tempo, the tempo will be emerging. He was claiming, and it appeared. And as we have discussed yesterday, and especially such cases, and depending on the problems on the emotion regulation, and it's a matter of anger and anger management issue. And these are the issues. And on the clinical level, so most probably you are experiencing the same or similar. And regardless of the diagnosis, especially we see that the emotion regulation is easily disrupted, and that's especially for the child. And I am not talking about DSM-5 group of the collapsive emotional regulation issues, and especially for the other psychopathologies, psychopathologies as well. And why? So we have to search what is the reason behind. So what sort of impacts available? What has changed in society that was leading to them? And is it something related to the screen use? Is it the pandemics, or is it the parental structure change on the family? So what has aggravated this situation that has led so much anger on the children? And therefore it can be related to this anger can be associated to many different psychopathologies, starting with the ADHD as well. And so it can be evolved to the pathological side. However, we need to see what are the things that's going bad on the child, and what triggers this anger on the child. What is wrong that going on the child's side that triggers anger immediately, and therefore then we need to focus on the solution, because we have to create a solution. So we cannot say that you need to tolerate. We cannot say that you have to accept it as it is, as he is or she is. So because there is no other door that they can knock at all. So you have a biological disease, and you are seeking for a remedy and a treatment. But is it that's all that the medicine can do? Is it the way that we should know? And we say he's a problem. He's as he doesn't like the breakfast, a problem. So I don't want to go out. So and actually the pants were not washed out, and he is a problem. So and very single. So how can the brushing the teeth can be difficult? So and especially one of the most significant issues of ADHD, and so it's a brushing the teeth. So 30 seconds and 30 seconds in life, and so at a very large crowds, for example, showering as well. So you guys just go under water. So for some time, it is just that simple. Does it work for risking? And so, for example, is it a reason, for example, to eat the chocolate after your lunch or dinner, or going to bed on time, for example? So there are more challenging issues. There are homeworks. So and he hates on reading, writing. So you are pushing for ordering or tidying up the room as well. So so these are not something that you can correct with the medication at all, regardless of its reason. And so if you cannot precise individual tailor-made approach is followed, you cannot get any solution at all. So I will be recalling back to here soon. So what has changed in the therapeutic approaches? There are some additives, there are supplements, or blah blah blah. So but there are some minimal effects, and however they can be used. Yes, they can be used, but however we cannot unnecessary high dosage of medication, like it's really it's really so wrong to impose them as the total replication of the existing conventional treatment. It is wrong. So there are different supplements at the moment, especially for the ADHD youngsters. So in order to stimulate themselves, they are consuming more and more caffeine including drinks, and they say I have a palpitation and my heart rate increased to 150. What can I do? And he drinks five cups of coffee in a day. Of course you feel palpitation, and energy drinks is consumed too much among the young people, and so that they have started to self stimulate themselves. And also sleep order is very much important, and there are sleep disorder is one of the major issues that we have observed. And so and so there is a group of children that cannot be directed to the sleeping, and this is unfortunately one of the extra problem of the recent decade. And on the other hand, and also because of the academic life and developing a life, and the exercise and the regular sporting has vanished actually, because they are at home from 8 to 5, and after 5 they have to perform their homeworks. In the afternoon they are going to the courses, the parents are tired, and they are directed to the piano or the guitar, and there's no time for exercising, for sporting. And so for the ADHD, or for the or neurodevelopmental disorders, neurodevelopment for all neurodevelopmental disorders. So exercises and sporting is something that really contributes a lot for the autism spectrum disorders, for example. And if you add the exercises and sporting, it really helps for the communication skills. And of course, our people likes the tabletop activities around the table, and however forgetting the order, evaluating, processing it, and concentration, and also focusing on one single point. So for the developing relationship perspective, so all very much important. For therefore, the sporting should be considered as a very much important therapeutic algorithm as a part of all the neurodevelopmental disorders. And actually in the last several years, I am advising to go a sports trainer rather than the mathematics teacher for their children. And and I'm coming to my end, and we are suffering from a very intensive technological use, and especially for the children, for the ADHD problem. So there are hyperfocus areas, and they are impressively good on some areas, and they can be addicted to these areas very easily, and especially for the content and the time of the screen should be limited from the start, from the onset. And so unfortunately it's a very big challenge at all, and it is one of the major issues. What shall we do? And therefore we have to make a suggestion on these areas. It is not easy, of course, and especially for the emotional disorganization is a very major issue. If you cannot regulate the screen, and should be completely remove the screen. And so of course I will not play the game, but everybody talks about the games at school. There's a game and everybody talks about them, but I cannot talk about, so I cannot find anything to talk with my friends, he says. It used to be talked about Galatasaray, Fenerbahçe, Beşiktaş, all the football. But however, today they are talking about the characters on the game. So if he cannot find something to talk, he suffers from the socialization issues, because from the thematical point of view he cannot be socialized. And as of course one other issues, unfortunately there is a high risk of screen addiction issues. What has not changed? The thing that has not changed, and for all these groups, ADHD group, so regardless of the comorbidity, so for the parents of this group, which should we have to teach them how to manage this process, these general trainings, of course, as our lecturers has already mentioned. So it has to be provided, it all should be provided as a group of experts. And however, there is no individual reflection on it, because we have to derive a crisis-oriented solution. So you have to be patient. It's okay. Be mindful. Okay. Don't be angry for everything. Okay. So unfortunately, they are suffering from more structural crisis, and therefore it is us. Or other clinical psychologists that has to deal with these issues as well, and therefore we have to be a part of this issue. We are not exempted from these issues. It is not us. We are not refrain, or we cannot limit ourselves with the prescription only, and therefore we have to correct the behavioral disorders, behavioral issues as well. And therefore, if you cannot provide the very profound training for the parents, you cannot change anything, even if you can increase the def, methylphenidate's rate to not 72, even you can increase to 172. So you cannot change the parental behavioral patterns of the on one shot, of course. But if you can change attitude of one parent only, it makes 50% change at least.